one good thing that happened was that we could I could get a sense of how nice and informal and wonderfully friendly and really
Of
mutually
course.
fulfilling kind of a chat this is going to
Of
be.
course.
So
Of
very
course.
happy, very happy.
जब
Thank you so
शुरू
much.
किया था ना पवन, शुरू से, क्योंकि
Hmm.
पवन आप जानते हो मेरा जो 25 एक साल का एक्सपीरियंस टेलीविजन से लेकर इवेंट से
Hmm.
लेकर, तो मैंने यही चीज देखी थी कि यार एक तो आप कुछ भी काम करो, मेक इट वेरी एस्पिरेशनल, प्रेजेंट इट वेल।
Sure.
तो ये हमारी शुरू से कोशिश रही है इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट में।
Hmm.
पर एट द सेम टाइम डोंट मेक इट सिंथेटिक, मेक इट पीपल में लेट
Real.
मेक पीपल फील वेरी वार्म एंड हैप्पी, और ऐसा लगे कि दोस्तों से बातें कर रहे हैं। तो
Hmm.
हेमांग, माय अपॉलॉजीज हेमांग दैट आई जस्ट took your seat, or I just got swept away. So, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is my absolute privilege to welcome our next panel, Voice Industry, the Turning Point. और ये बड़ा important discussion है, and I'm supremely lucky to get these three fantastic minds from different segments of the industry. तो कहने को तो ये तीनों अलग अलग सेगमेंट से हैं, जैसा मैंने आप लोगों को शुरू में इंट्रोड्यूस भी किया, पर एक जो कड़ी है जो इन तीनों को जोड़ती है, वो है कहीं ना कहीं मुझे लगता है वॉइस। वॉइस बिल्कुल आप लोगों को जोड़ती है, और आप मुझे करेक्ट कीजिएगा, क्योंकि देखिए धीरज शुरुआत से रेडियो में रहे हैं, ही इज वर्कड विद द फाइनेस्ट वॉइस टैलेंट्स इन द कंट्री, सेलिब्रिटी से लेकर एस्पायरिंग टैलेंट्स। इज रिटन, क्रिएटेड, सुपरवाइज, डायरेक्टेड, वन मल्टीपल अवार्ड्स। सो आज ये भले ही बहुत बड़े ओहदे पर एज अ स्ट्रैटेजिस्ट हैं, पर धीरज को, मैं जिस धीरज को जानता हूँ, आई हैव ऑलवेज बीन अ फैन ऑफ हिज क्रिएटिव माइंड of so Dheeraj, welcome to India Voice Fest.
Thank you so much, Darpan. Always pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Dheeraj. And Dheeraj has also been on the jury for the India Voice Fest Awards this year again, and thank you for that too. Gaurav Sharma, ladies and gentlemen, गौरव के बारे में छोटी सी स्टोरी बताऊंगा, 15-20 सेकंड की, कि मैं इतना थथा फपा हो कि मैंने गौरव से कनेक्ट किया। लिंक्डइन पे बाकायदा मैंने फॉर्मल मैसेज लिखा, क्योंकि किसी भी आप बड़े आदमी को लिखते हो तो आपको बड़ा दूर से थोड़ा सा ऐसे टच करते हो हल्का सा जाके। एंड गौरव, ही गॉट बैक टू मी लाइक आई एम हिज ओल्ड बडी। तो मुझसे थोड़ा सा मैं ना, आई वाज अ लिटिल थ्रोन ऑफ कि यार आई होप आई हैव गॉट द राइट गौरव शर्मा, बिकॉज देयर आर 2-3 गौरव शर्मास। तो फिर मैंने देखा जाके, मैंने वही फोटो है, गौरव ही है ना पक्का। And so I think फिर मुझे पता चला why is Gaurav such a lovable personality in the industry. मेरी उनसे कभी बात भी नहीं हुई थी, but उन्होंने मुझे एक फोन कॉल में अपना बना लिया. So I think this is something that I took back from that phone call, Gaurav. And Gaurav keeps very busy, but
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And पहले तो तुम्हारी आवाज कैसी है? I believe you were down and under for the longest time. You were hit with a
For a
bad
long,
bout.
I'm still down. I think after India Voice Fest, I'm going to get some intervention, and hopefully I will roar again. I will roar again.
And just to let you know कि मेरी अब घर पे जो सबसे पहले सुबह the cup of coffee that I have is with India Voice Fest. So
How?
thank you so much for that beautiful mug.
I'm
And
so glad.
really, it's kind of I every day in the morning I'm kind of looking at it and I say, wow, what a fantastic initiative that you've taken on year after year after year, and feeling fortunate to be a part of it and be a part of this panel. Pavan and I also go back a long way. Or हमारी कभी मुलाकात नहीं. Actually, all of us, we've heard of each other, we meet each other, but आजकल I think I don't know what's happened. Early on they would say कि those college days are the best days. I realized that we had all the time. I think it's nothing else, but it's a time. It's not about what we're doing in life, but it's about the time, and we're just running from pillar to post. So yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Dheeraj
Lovely.
and Pavan. We're connecting again. So great.
Great, great, great. Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you so much. And Pavan, of course. Pavan, welcome to India Voice Fest. Pavan की तो मैंने बहुत बातें की शुरू में. Pavan and me go back. Pavan मुझे तब से जानते हैं जब I was this lanky young guy, और मुझे बोलने की भी तमीज नहीं थी, और मुझे बोलना
Still,
नहीं आता
still,
था,
still lanky
और
young
मैं
guy. Sorry.
तो पवन ने मुझे तब से प्यार दिया है जब probably I was nobody, and आज जब life has been very kind to me, we still have that connect. And मुझे याद है इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट की जब शुरुआत हो रही थी, उसके कई महीने पहले, 1 साल पहले मैं पवन से मिला था, उन्होंने मुझे बड़ा इनकरेज किया था। पर आज लोग जब इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट की सफलता की बातें करते हैं, तो मैं आप लोगों को बताना चाहूंगा कि सफलता के पीछे मेरी खुद की बहुत विफलताएं और असफलताएं हैं। जब मैंने पवन से बात की थी, उन्होंने मुझे कहा था यार डू इट, उसके 1.5 साल तक मैं गायब हो गया एंड ही गॉट वेरी एंग्री कि यार क्या चल रहा है। बट मैंने उसके बाद कोशिश की कि मैं ये शुरू करूं इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट एंड आई फेल्ड मिजरेबली। आई जस्ट कुड नॉट I just could not take off. So आज जो लोग people talk about the
Sorry.
success of India Voice Fest, I think Pavan knows कि इसके पीछे how I took a lot of missteps before doing this. So thank you, Pavan. And Pavan also runs a very popular podcast. I think it's India's only such podcast called The Master's Voice, where he interviews thought leaders across industries. So which is something amazing. So guys, I'm very sorry मैंने 10 मिनट ले लिया आप लोगों के.
नहीं नहीं कोई
The
बात
next 10 seconds, I'm going to be off. Anand, just take me off the stream in 5 seconds. Welcome to India Podcast and over to you guys. Thank you. Bye bye.
thank you so much. Wow. So this is going to be an interesting session, and really, honestly, very, very happy to be with two wonderful people. Dheeraj, we are meeting for the first time virtually
Yeah.
also,
Yes,
but
yes.
the pleasure that I'm going to have from introducing you to everybody is really good. And Gaurav ki to kya hi baat kare. So my name is Pavan R. Chawla. Everybody who's listening to me, I want to thank Darpan, who's a dear person. Years ago, when I launched Sony Entertainment Television in India and launched dubbed shows in India for the first time with Leela Ghosh and Mona Ghosh, the amazing Leela ji. I still think of her and my eyes go moist because she was absolutely the most wonderful first lady, the high priestess of voice and dubbing, and did it with such passion. And Mona really takes a very difficult legacy so beautifully and effortlessly forward. So yeah, so in those days, Darpan was a youngster who came into Sony Entertainment Television. I was one of the on-air voices for Sony, and Darpan immediately, with his amazing courage and beautiful voice, really he just made his own space. And then there was another amazing, wonderful talent that we had, Ninad Kamath, whom I truly love, whose voice. So always been surrounded with voice. Had the first top 10 on All India Radio way back in 1988. I did, and I was also an English voice reader from news for news in Delhi. बहुत 11 बजे की शिफ्ट में डाल दिया करते थे कि गलती करोगे तो कोई देखेगा नहीं सुनेगा नहीं. But okay, enough about me. Let me now quickly tell you all about my two distinguished panelists. Okay, and in alphabetical order, therefore, with the first by first name, Dheeraj Kumar. Dheeraj Kumar is brand head at Motivator Group M, that eminent, respected, major marketer enabler. I just call it that. धीरज के बारे में बहुत बहुत कुछ है कहने को. Dheeraj is a reliable content and creative leader with rich and diverse experience in leading what? Integrated media solutions. क्योंकि हम करते क्या हैं सब मार्केटर्स, वॉइस वाले, रेडियो वाले, क्रिएटिव पीपल. आई थिंक वी ऑल जस्ट क्रिएट, वी यूज द मोस्ट अमेजिंग emotional connector called the voice to create engagements that power businesses initiatives. मतलब मैंने ओवर सिंप्लीफाई कर दिया है. ये एक्सपर्ट्स हमें और ज़्यादा बताएंगे इसके बारे में, लेकिन धीरज के बारे में ये ज़रूर कहूँगा कि he gives amazing, he brings rich and diverse experience in leading integrated marketing and media solutions, including digital पर है, social media हैं, influencer marketing campaigns हैं. धीरज टीम्स को बनाते भी हैं, सेटअप भी करते हैं, और वही नहीं बल्कि स्केल अप भी करते हैं और स्केल करके ज़्यादा मजबूत और बड़ा करते हैं. Is constantly offering thought leadership via leadership councils and executive committees. धीरज ने 10 साल, जैसे दर्पण ने आपसे कहा, 10 साल बिताए हैं रेडियो में और विद बिग एफएम. देखिए, कमाल की बात यह है कि एक एंटिटी के साथ 10 साल बिताए, शुरुआत से जब उसको एस्टैब्लिश किया, और उसके बाद इट बिकेम the biggest single largest network with the largest footprint of stations across the country. और उसके साथ 10 साल रहे हैं और उसको लॉन्च किया था ब्रांड को कंट्री में. और धीरज ने ओएपी यानी ऑन एयर प्रमोशंस और ब्रांड सॉल्यूशंस भी मैनेज किए हैं रिलायंस ब्रॉडकास्ट पर. another difficult place to work in because very challenging and extremely ambitious and very driven. So a lot of respect for all those professionals. And Dheeraj used to drive innovative ways of keeping audiences hooked टू द प्रोग्रामिंग. अब सबसे बड़ी बात क्या है, मीडिया क्या बनाती है कंटेंट, और उस कंटेंट को मोनेटाइज करना है और उसको फिर से वापस मीडिया में डालना है. सीधी सी बात ये है, दो हरफी. और इनका काम क्या था? टू लुक एट द spine that makes media stand on its feet, which was driving innovative ways to keep audiences hooked to the programming. और हाँ, ये ब्रांड्स को भी ऑन बोर्ड लाते थे और ऑडियो कंटेंट पर पार्टनरशिप्स के लिए. ओके, नॉट अ वेरी इजी थिंग. मैं कहता हूं और मैं मानता हूं कि रेडियो स्पेशली सबसे मुश्किल मीडियम है. इफ यू कैन If you can survive in radio, you can thrive anywhere else. And he used to bring in, audience marketer partnerships for audio for long and short term. So धीरज ने वाकई ऑडियो और साउंड इंडस्ट्री की बहुत सेवा की। और दिल से क्या है आप धीरज? अगर आप पूछेंगे इनसे ये, तो ये कहेंगे कि आई एम अ राइटर एट हार्ट, आई लव ऑडियो, धीरज कहेंगे, एज अ मीडियम। और इनका मानना है कि ऑडियो मीडियम को टेक्नोलॉजी ने बड़े जबरदस्त तरीके से डेमोक्रेटाइज कर दिया है, सबके पास पहुंचाना शुरू कर दिया और आसान बना दिया सबके पास पहुंचाना। और इनकी जो बिलीव्स है ना, उनमें एक बहुत ही प्यारी बात है। धीरज कहते हैं कि हर आवाज एक ग्रेट आवाज है, एवरी वॉइस इज अ ग्रेट वॉइस, बशर्ते कि उसके पास कुछ अच्छा हो शेयर करने के लिए। Every voice is a great voice if they have something worthwhile to share. So, I give you Dheeraj Kumar, brand head at Motivator Group M. Welcome to the panel, Dheeraj. और जो हमारे
So much.
दूसरे एफएम रेडियो के वॉइस इंडस्ट्री के दिग्गज हमारे साथ हैं आज। आई रियली लव दिस मैन बिकॉज आई हैपन टू नो हिम पर्सनली फॉर अ वेरी लॉन्ग टाइम, वाइकेरियसली। दूरी रही हो चाहे मिले नहीं हो, लेकिन दिल हमेशा जुड़े रहे हैं। एंड ही इज अ वंडरफुल यंग वेटरन, ट्रूली यंग वेटरन कहूंगा। इंडस्ट्री वाले इन्हें प्यार से शर्मा जी के नाम से जानते हैं, गौरव शर्मा, शर्मा जी। सो अलाउ मी टू वेलकम एंड इंट्रोड्यूस गौरव शर्मा। और बाप रे कितनी लंबी डेजिग्नेशन है इनकी, मैं आपको पढ़ के सुनाता हूँ। गौरव शर्मा, गौरव जी शर्मा जी इज चीफ प्रोग्रामिंग एंड डिजिटल स्ट्रेटजी ऑफिसर फॉर फीवर एफएम, फॉर रेडियो नशा एंड पंजाबी फीवर, एंड फॉर रेडियो वन, इंडियाज मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल रेडियो नेटवर्क। राइट। और एक और बड़ी बात, 20 सालों से रेडियो, लाइव एंटरटेनमेंट, होस्टिंग और थिएटर के बहुत ही अभिन्न एक जुड़े हुए अंग और हिस्सा रह चुके हैं, और अब भी हैं। एंड ही हैज बीन पार्ट ऑफ द स्टार्टअप एंड लॉन्च्ड 3 वंडरफुल एंटिटीज, प्लैनेट एम, रेडियो मिर्ची एंड रेडियो सिटी। और जैसे अभी एक बड़े अच्छे पैनलिस्ट ने, मेंबर ने कहा था कि ही इज द होस्ट आल्सो ऑफ द नाइट शिफ्ट, a radio show playing the best international hits of the 70s, 80s, 90s, 9 p.m. daily, 94.3 Radio 1 with a listener base of 6 million, 60 लाख लोग। और अगर आप सिर्फ 4 शहरों में देखें तो मुंबई, दिल्ली, बेंगलुरु और चेन्नई में। अमेजिंग, सम ऑफ द प्रोमिनेंट गेस्ट हु फीचर्ड ऑन द शो। तो अब इनके पास इतना एक्सपीरियंस है कि बड़े से बड़ा दिग्गज ले आइए। ये स्टिंग के साथ मैड अबाउट यू की बात करेंगे, मिक जैगर के साथ बात करेंगे, ब्रायन एडम, शैगी, प्रियंका चोपड़ा, जोनस, उनके साथ आजकल बहुत सारी बातें करने को हैं, लेकिन उस पर हम जाएंगे नहीं अभी। कबीर बेदी, वोल्फगैंग वैन हेलन, माय गॉड, जे शॉन, बिग माउंटेन, डायन वॉरन, शोभा डे, अनन्या बिरला, टाइगर श्रॉफ। और होस्ट और क्रिएटर भी कमाल के हैं। अंताक्षरी विद शर्मा जी इन्होंने शुरू किया था, स्प्रेडिंग द जॉय ऑफ म्यूजिक एंड कॉन्वर्सेशंस विद केओएल्स, जिनको हम की ओपिनियन लीडर्स का शॉर्ट फॉर्म कहते हैं, अक्रॉस द ग्लोब। 8 बजे हर रोज इंस्टा लाइव शर्मा जी के साथ, और 200 से ज्यादा सेशंस होस्ट कर चुके हैं अभी तक। सम ऑफ द प्रोमिनेंट गेस्ट्स हु फीचर्ड ऑन द शो आर मनोज बाजपेयी, जूही चावला, मिथिला पालकर, सोनू निगम, शान, रेखा भारद्वाज। बाप रे बहुत सारे नाम है, बाकियों से माफी, उनको पता नहीं है कौन कौन से नाम थे, तो मैं आई एम ओके। एंड सम ऑफ द प्रोमिनेंट थिएटर प्रोडक्शंस ऑफ Gaurav include Wizard of Oz, Legend of Ram, Blame It on Yashraj, and 50 Day War. ऐसे जो आप इनको एक बार देखे मिले तो आप समझ जाएंगे हाँ इनके अलावा क्या हो सकता है। फूड, ट्रैवल, म्यूजिक, सिंगिंग, थिएटर, रेडियो, पॉडकास्ट, आइडियाज गीक, एब्सोल्यूट
Oh,
आइडियाज गीक, कम्युनिकेटर, एंड ही बिलीव्स इन वन ब्यूटीफुल थिंग, इट इज ऑलवेज अबाउट द कनेक्ट। तो ये हैं गौरव शर्मा, मेरे बड़े प्यारे मित्र और एफएम रेडियो के बहुत बड़े हितैषी। एक बार फिर इनकी सारी डेजिग्नेशन पढ़ूं? नहीं, नहीं पढ़ूंगा, बहुत वक्त लगेगा। पर हाँ, लोग कहते हैं इनको भीष्म पितामह ऑफ रेडियो, मीडिया प्रोफेशनल एंड इन्फ्लुएंसर, स्टार्टअप एक्सपर्ट भी कहते हैं, इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट, पैनलिस्ट हैं, बहुत ही कॉन्क्लेव्स पर आते हैं, जैसे कि ये जो आज का हमारा इंडिया का सबसे बड़ा और जबरदस्त है ये इंडिया वॉइस समिट 2021। मैंने इंडिया के हर बड़े से बड़े इवेंट को हम लोगों ने पार्टनर किया है। द वर्ल्ड्स बिगेस्ट जर्नलिज्म इवेंट रॉयटर्स नेक्स्ट में हम इंडिया के इकलौते पार्टनर्स थे, मीडिया ब्रीफ। लेकिन 7 दिनों का इतना बड़ा, मैं ऐसे कहूंगा वॉइस का महाकुंभ है ये। और बड़े अच्छे अच्छे लोगों से उनको सुनने का मौका मिल रहा है। और अभी मेरे सामने देखिए ना, मेरे साथ 2 लोग हैं आपके पास स्क्रीन पर। तो वी आर गोइंग टू बी टॉकिंग अबाउट, बहुत लंबा मेरा इंट्रोडक्शन हो गया, बट आई रियली वांटेड पीपल टू नो दैट दीज आर द स्टॉलवर्ड्स, दीज आर स्टेलर प्रोफेशनल्स जो हमारे साथ आज जुड़े हैं। थैंक्स अ लॉट अगेन टू दर्पण एंड हिज एंटायर मैसिव वंडरफुल टीम। तो हमारा जो पैनल है, इसके बाद मैं शांत हो जाऊंगा, आपसे सवाल करता रहूंगा, आपसे जवाब निकालता रहूंगा, और साथ में हम लोग इस कारवां को आगे बढ़ाते रहेंगे। सो दिस इज अबाउट द वॉइस इंडस्ट्री, द टर्निंग पॉइंट। और वॉइस में कितनी सारी चीजें हैं आज, और सबसे पहला है पॉडकास्ट। तो पॉडकास्ट के बारे में सेट गॉर्डन ने कहा है, न्यू ब्लॉग्स हैं। और आप देखिए ना, पॉडकास्ट के लिए सबसे बड़ी बात क्या है? कोई एफर्ट नहीं है कंज्यूम करने के लिए, कोई कहीं भी सुन सकता है। एंड द मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल थिंग, दे गिव यू पावरफुल पर्सनल कनेक्ट, एक्सट्रीमली यूजफुल, like free on demand talk radio. You will never catch on any FM radio network today, क्योंकि आजकल क्या 15 सेकंड के अंदर बात करो, निकल जाओ, मुझे एक नीडल आवर में 13 गाने बजाने हैं, क्योंकि ओटीएल और टीएसएल कितना कम है। तो ये सारी बातें होती है, लेकिन पॉडकास्ट नीड वेरी लिटिल एफर्ट टू कंज्यूम। और अगर कोई शुरू करता है पॉडकास्ट सुनना, अच्छा लगा, सुना, सर्च किया, देखा, और 5 में से एक चुना और सुना, तो एडिसन की जो रेटिंग्स हैं, अमेरिका का जो होली ग्रेल है ऑन ईयर ड्रम मेजरमेंट, जैसे आई बॉल मेजरमेंट होती है, it says that anyone who starts listening to a podcast, whether will 84% listen to the complete podcast, चाहे वो 5 मिनट का हो, चाहे वो 80 मिनट का हो। सो आई जस्ट, और एक सबसे बड़ी बात ये भी है कि इंडस्ट्री जो है पॉडकास्ट की ग्लोबली, वो बहुत बड़ी होने वाली है। 2026 तक ये हो जाएगी $94.88 billion with a B. So my first question to you, Dheeraj, is your view on podcasts. That's one simple open-ended question, and the second, simply put, and the current scenario and pointers, for talent, कि वो कैसे पॉडकास्ट के वैल्यू को ऑप्टिमाइज कर सकते हैं, चाहे वो टैलेंट हो, चाहे मार्केटर्स हो। तो दो सवाल हैं, धीरज, ऑल योर्स।
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much, Pavan. And Gaurav, it's been a pleasure to be part of this panel with you. The kind of talent that you have, we really used to all from the other side of the competition. Now also as a marketer for brands, we really aspire to connect with the kind of talent you are. So coming back to the podcast, see what internet has done. It has provided us. It has democratized the way talent. I will not start with voice. It has democratized the way talent used to reach out to people. Earlier there were very few medium like traditional medium, TV, radio, or print, right? Now with the advent of internet and the speed that we got, the rich media got really popular among people, and among rich media, what is topping is video. After that, the other ways of utilizing the mediums and all that. You have to pardon me. Also, I have kids at home, so you will hear their voice also. So
Oh,
they are also part of India
romantic.
voice that way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
My kids are
Today,
locked up.
today only my elder one was.
सॉरी पार्डन मी, आई एम गोइंग टू बी ईटिंग यार, मैं ऑफिस में हूँ, सुबह से बहुत भूख लगी है, तो मैंने सेव
हाँ
पूरी
हाँ,
मंगाई है, तो मैं खाते खाते थोड़ा बात
Please, please,
आपका,
please, please.
हाँ,
Yes.
खाने का जो साउंड इफेक्ट है थोड़ा लो रखते हैं ना, नहीं तो हमें भूख लगेगी।
Yeah. So I think after this pandemic, what happened is that there was a fatigue of watching video which was available in abundance. And what happened is that the podcast, which was like a soothing relief from a fatigue of video, which is a rich media provided by internet. That got a lot of prominence. And at the same time, people those who do not have the ability of understanding how to make a video, edit it, put it, because a video requires more effort than using a podcast simplify that for people. And at the same time, if you don't want to be seen the way you are, your setting, the way you speak and all that, but if you have substance, if you have subject, if you have point of view, if you have expertise, if you have conversational skills to hold a conversation and interview people, and so on and so forth. I think podcast has given that opportunity to people to utilize that, right? So it started with people those who were doing videos, and it started with people those who are master of voice and all that, and then it also went into people those who are not master of the craft but master of some subject. For example, if I give an example, my father retired from Indian Railways. He knows so much about Indian Railways. He can start his own podcast and give some wonderful stories about railways, right? So people from small cities, people from bigger cities, they started doing that, and I think podcast is here to stay. Um, that is on the talent side, and when it comes to the brand side, brands are also building, their presence through podcast. Whether it's about disseminating information about their brand, or whether it is about taking a subculture and talking about it. Brands are also equally participating in it, and the best part is that they can afford to experiment with podcast, unlike with video or branded content, which requires a huge amount of investment, right? You can experiment, you can do a series. If it's working for you, you continue with it. If it's not working for you, you can actually correct it and move on with it, right? So I think, yeah, these are the two things, Pavan. I think this is how the podcast is shaping up, and it's here to stay.
Excellent, excellent. Gaurav, what is your view on podcasts?
Yeah,
Just
it's yeah. Sorry, it's I think magical. But before that, just want to say hi to Dheeraj. Again, it's a great opportunity. I kind of jumped onto this because I said, "Ki chalo, if not in the real world, at least virtually, we get to meet." Uh, and Pavan, तुम्हारे बारे में क्या कहूँ? I have to tell you one thing about Pavan. One of those very few rare people who is so comfortable in Hindi and English. Just as a presenter, I want to say कि ये बहुत एक rare quality है और I think आज की दुनिया में it is utmost importance because कोई भी conversational अब it's not purely about English, it's not purely about Hindi. I mean, I would put that कि जिस तरह से बच्चन साहब है, and he's so comfortable with both the languages. I would
यार
really
कान
say that
पकड़ो.
you're one of those rare talent. तो इसको तिजोरी में बंद करके रखो. He's and of course he has a great acumen towards the business side of things also. So I think entertainment, business, a point of view, media. I think it's fantastic. So anyway, sorry, it's not my turn to give an introduction or to praise, but and you asked me about the podcast, but I still wanted to just say these few words.
Okay.
To me, I've always looked at podcast as radio without music. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's अगर आप किसी भी रेडियो शो से म्यूजिक निकाल दें, what the radio jockey is doing is he's talking, and therefore to me that's a podcast. So that's the basic definition of a podcast for all the people who are here and who want to know कि यार podcast होता क्या है. तो अगर आप रेडियो सुन रहे हैं, all kinds of radio, whether you've been listening to talk radio, whether you listen to music radio, sports radio, like I said, if you remove music from it, that becomes a podcast. Now, the only difference between then the next step to me, agar main radio, what's the difference between a radio jockey and a PJ or podcast jockey? If there is a
Good
term, yeah.
Lord.
Uh, I think it's about your inner talent. It's about searching into your inner talent and then getting that out as a voice talent. Radio jockey is the opposite because if you have a voice talent and you like to talk, you're out there. Really, it's not about that inner talent. But in podcast, there is a specialization. Yeah, you are being heard because of the skill or because of the craft you bring to a particular topic, to a particular subject. So it's not about the voice. It's about your तुम्हारी अंदर का एक talent होना चाहिए which is dying to come out. Yes, you can be a podcaster. And always remember that serve your audience and not your brand. Yeah, I mean that is important because right now that is what you need to do. You need to understand ki mera. So for example, if I love music of the 80s, then and I'm not a very good communicator, but I love my 80s. You can be a podcaster. Then I need to realize that who am I reaching out to? What is my audience out there? And then I talk about it. The minute I start talking about Rick Astley and Whitney Houston and U2 and Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears, automatically there will be an audience, and it's about being authentic. Isme wo hey what's up? That doesn't work. The gloss doesn't work because people are coming for real conversations. People are coming for real chat. जैसे हम तीन कर रहे हैं, or like in the previous
Hmm.
session, we just having a
Hmm.
chat. This could be a great podcast. Yeah, Pavan, I'm giving you an idea. I
Hmm.
think it's a great session. So this is
Yeah.
what it is actually a podcast. हम कर रहे हैं. That's a
Hmm.
podcast. We're discussing an
Hmm.
element
Absolutely.
of the medium right now. So to me, yes. Just however to continue my my opinion is I do feel that there is a bubble. I do think that bubble will burst. It's here to stay, but I think right now it's a very, very cluttered environment because I think everyone's trying out different things, and I think it needs to be streamlined. तो वो जो clutter का bubble है वो burst होगा. It will get
बिल्कुल.
streamlined, and then of course it's probably going to be the finest piece of content for anyone to listen to.
Hmm. You know, you're right. But what's actually surprising, it I completely get befuddled by it, is that many marketers come and ask me, and not just the youngsters, where are we publishing it, our podcast episode? Will we publish it on Spotify, or will we publish it on Google Podcasts, or will we publish it on Apple Podcasts? And I say that when the Economic Times, I'm taking a name of a great publication, when it puts out its story, it doesn't publish it on Google, it doesn't publish it on Bing. These are just search and indexing providers. It's a service provider for search. You have to have your own host. उनको इतना भी नहीं पता, बहुत सारे लोगों को, हाँ, हमारी जो इंडस्ट्री के लोग हमारे साथ सुन रहे हैं, जुड़े हुए हैं इस वक्त, उनको सब अच्छे से समझ आएगा. लेकिन many marketers don't know. Where are we publishing it? Okay, so can I take music from YouTube, which is good for YouTube and free for YouTube, and put it on a podcast? मैं कहता हूँ भैया, इंस्टाग्राम निकाल के फेंक देगा, फेसबुक निकाल के फेंक देगा, ट्विटर नहीं डालने देगा. व्हाट आर यू डूइंग? गेट योर आईपी, गेट योर एवरीथिंग. रिकॉर्ड कैसे करें? जूम पे कर लें. भाई, आई हैव नथिंग अगेंस्ट जूम, but I would much rather record on a squadcast.fm or a riverside.fm, in that order, because they are good professional things. They go on to HD audio, they record and they save you in the cloud, and they also save you on your own temp disk, from the directory it goes up later. तो ये सारी चीजें, और खुदा के लिए, ईश्वर के लिए, भगवान के लिए, फ्री पॉडकास्ट होस्टिंग प्लेटफॉर्म कभी मत यूज करो. You won't own your data. You will not be able to monetize your podcast should it really click. And for God's sake, I would suggest, do not try to please the world and its aunt. You're not a broadcaster, you're a podcaster. As a podcaster, unless there is the niche, there is that real connection of relevance, like you mentioned, Gaurav, just now, if somebody likes 80s music, so be it. One of the most successful podcasts I have heard of is one that actually connects with cancer patients and tells them that I myself am a cancer person and you've got it. We will fight it together. We are here together. You're not alone. And think of the emotional connect. I mean, it's not all the time, it is not so strong, such a big connect, but it's always an interest. It's always something that people find useful and interesting. तभी वो आपको ढूंढ के आएंगे, और पॉडकास्ट जो है ना, वो ऑर्गेनिक आपको देगा ऑडियंस ग्रोथ. वो कभी भी आप, यू पुश इट, it will come down, like you said. Radio used to play songs for movies, and movies would, they would play songs for a month or two, and people would get their first day footfalls. लेकिन पहले शो के बाद पता चल जाता था कि कितने भी गाने बजाए हों आपने रेडियो में, आप आज अपनी कंटेंट के बेसिस पर ही अगला शो लेंगे, अगला महीना लेंगे या नहीं लेंगे. So anyways, thank you, very very nice inputs over there. So one aspect of, the new kind of turning points that we are seeing, it's a clever little catchphrase, but they're around and they are little milestones. So one is the podcast. Let's go to artificial intelligence and the influx of digital voice assistants. अभी voice की बात हो रही है, India Voice Summit चल रहा है. तो धीरज, आप बताइए, how are these digital voice assistants, and how is artificial intelligence, how are they changing the scenario of the marketing with respect to the voice industry? How are they utilizing the capabilities and the opportunities?
All right. Before I jump onto that, I just want to add what Gaurav said. A very good thing that this clutter and this bubble will burst. And but what is the good thing happening? Podcast is becoming another YouTube video search. So if I want to search the best way of cooking, say, chicken curry, I'll get some podcast. I mean, bad example. It's a visual. You will go for this thing, but best way to take care of kids in the absence of wife, which is she has just come. So but so you will get a podcast on parenting tips. You will get a podcast
Yeah.
from them. That's how you hook to it. And the people will listen to the best podcast. They will not go to
Mm,
the ones which are like
true,
blabbering
true,
for
true,
60 minutes and all that. Maybe they'll go for the
true.
10-10 minute chunks. They will go for the 5-5 minute chunks, which are just tips दिए हैं. एक बात जो सब्सटेंस के साथ बोली है और आप आपने नेक्स्ट टॉपिक पे चले गए. So yes. So I think a very relevant point what गौरव ने जो बोला कि ये जो बबल बस्ट होगा और क्लटर ब्रेक होगा, राइट?
Sorry,
You
just wanted to
also,
add. Sorry, just
yeah.
wanted to add something to what you said just now, Dheeraj. This is about how, I know, and I tell a lot of young people who come to me saying, "How do I promote my podcast?" I say, you take your podcast featured image, if nothing else, on a YouTube size, and under that, you just lay your audio and you have a YouTube video. And then you index that through YouTube and get searched. So exactly what you were saying. Please go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. No,
Gaurav was saying.
I mean, I know that we're not, only discussing podcasts, but it's such an interesting and a hot topic, and I just want to kind of add a couple of things, and especially, what Dheeraj just mentioned, that for everyone, and I'm sure there are people out here who are interested because it's the Voice Fest. A lot of people are wanting to get into podcasts. I think the one good thing is that I think what the pandemic has taught us is that everyone. I mean, most of my radio jockeys now we all record from home, so you don't need a studio setup to record a podcast. I think that again makes it so simple for anyone to do so. You have softwares that help you do it at home, so I think that is one thing which is why it's growing. The second thing, and I think what Dheeraj said, that you don't necessarily need to listen to a 45-minute podcast. If you communicate exactly what the listener will gain, you can make the best podcast in 10 minutes. In fact, I think that is usually the best time for a podcast. So, instead of listening to a 45-minute podcast of best practices for building a website, I would more be interested if it a 10-minute which said three essential things you need to know while building a website. It's there, it's to the point. So we have to realize that a podcast doesn't give you necessarily the liberty कि I can go on and on and on, because देखो आपका audience वही है. Your audience has the option of listening to radio. He has the option of listening to all other podcasts. He has the option of listening to music. He has the option to watch something. So always remember that what Dheeraj was saying, that stick to the point and get your message across, and record from home, and you've got a great podcast coming up.
And to add to that, sorry, this is getting a little, and after this, I will not add to it. But you see, it depends. If I get the South Asia head and chairman of, say, a major global 15,000 employee agency employee head, and I want to do a deep dive, then that man and all that he brings to the table will not fit in my 5 or 10 minutes. So it depends on the format, it depends
Yeah.
on your audience, it depends on your everything. If it's a tactical, how do you look at SEO? How do you make sure that your website speed is fine? These are chapters that you can go. So, anyways, so sorry, Dheeraj. Please continue. Take it away.
No, no,
We were
no.
talking
I,
about
yes, yes.
voice and assistance and artificial
Yeah.
intelligence. Go ahead.
So, very interesting. We have this voice practice at Group M, and which is led by Neeraj Ruparel. Uh,
Okay.
and what we are doing, it's at very nascent stage, and we are actually making clients aware what voice and what digital voice can do. So for example, we push a lot of voice skills to be based on voice devices like Alexa and Google Assistant. So for example, what Alexa has done with Amit ji. You say Amit ji, and he will come and give you this thing. And if you listen to a lot of branded voice skills done in UK and USA and outside the country, a coffee brand is actually has created the whole show where it will tell you, if you ask question, it's not only the coffee that you can make out of that coffee, you can bake a cake out of that coffee, right?
Mm.
That the things that you don't know about coffee. So I think this is not virtual voice assistant, but I'll come to that. But the how peculiarly you can create voice skills and engage your audience where you do not need a voice. Maybe if you are
Mm.
not able to hire a voice, Alexa can be the voice that can be utilized for your voice skill, right? So I've
Yeah.
done those algorithms. I've worked with some people, those who are brilliant people making these kind of voice skills. I've demonstrated that to client with the opening the mobile in front of them and demonstrating ki, hey, Alexa, open my binge watch for weekend, and if you're doing the binge watch, you can go for this ready to eat food with that and all that. And that binge watch can give you the whole list of what all you can watch on Netflix, on Amazon, right? Alexa's telling you and saying, hey, by the way, while you're watching it, do not forget to have this ready to eat brand, along with that. It's a great voice skill built for, and the algorithm will pick up automatically which are the best shows which people are watching on Netflix and Amazon. I need not to do anything, right? It's just that it will fall into that algorithm, and at the end of the message, it will end with the brand message. That is it. It becomes
Hmm.
a utility for me. अभी मैं पूछूं यार आज अभी सैटरडे को क्या देखने को है नेटफ्लिक्स पे, अलेक्सा को
Hmm.
चार शो बता
Hmm.
देगी, वो बोलेगी उसके साथ यार ये बट अपना पॉपकॉर्न मत भूलना, right? Can I add?
और
Can
इस
I
ब्रांड
add?
का
And at the same time, can I add it to your grocery cart?
काट.
Can you imagine? I mean, what voice can do? And I don't need a voiceover artist for it, or I don't need a
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
copywriter for
absolutely.
it. I don't need. It's just the one time algorithm made, and after machine learning, वो learn करता जाता है कि voice skill को मेरे को better कैसे करना है. कि यार लोग
Hmm.
ज्यादा नेटफ्लिक्स पे पूछते हैं, अमेजोन पे कम पूछते हैं, राइट? तो पहली रिकमेंडेशन नेटफ्लिक्स की आ जाएगी, सेकंड अमेजोन की आ जाएगी, राइट? सो दैट इज
Hmm.
देयर. नाउ कमिंग टू द डिजिटल वॉइस असिस्टेंट, इट्स a lot of brands are not, a lot of people are still need to understand it and how to use it, because the same kind of mechanism, the same kind of technology goes into it, and but it's a very very what you say, you have to make your first mistakes,
Hmm.
and many
Sure.
brands are not ready to do that. But that's the future, and that's going to bring a lot of cost down for your call centers. Right now, what's happening, what we are building for our clients are chatbots, right? Where
Hmm.
a chatbot will give you the initial problem solving steps. In case if you're
Sure.
not satisfied, then you go and talk to a call center guy. I mean,
Hmm.
that is going to be get eliminated when the digital voice assistant will come and do the same thing for you, right? But
Absolutely.
that's a very exciting time, and
Hmm.
I think the right steps at GroupM we are taking with these voice skills and digital assistant, which will be like, so. For example, you sample your voice, and you put those question what chatbot is doing right now, that voice will start doing for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, there are these little packages now that have come out, like the Speechelos and the others. Pay $90 and you will
Yeah,
have an Indian voice, an American voice, male,
yeah, yeah,
female, young, old. It's crazy, and some of them are so nice that they really sound pretty okay. Only they sound too perfect. But that's
yeah.
okay. That's not bad. And at the same time, if you look at you mentioned voice bots now, or chatbots rather. Now, chatbots not now, way back, I think 3.5 years ago, with a company called Core I helped launch and announce in India the chatbot for India's perhaps one of the world's biggest consumer websites, which is IRCTC. They started a chatbot called Ask Disha. आप जाते ठग से वो आ जाती पूछती है आपसे. So it's crazy, and you go to a Z5 or you go to others, you're searching. अभी भारत भर भरा हुआ है, लोग देखते हैं. अब बहुत से लोगों को लिखना नहीं आता, सर्च कैसे करेंगे? तो आवाज से अपनी भाषा में बोल के सर्च करते हैं और उनको आते हैं ऑप्शंस. एंड बिकॉज इट्स अ डिजिटल थिंग, देयर इज सेगमेंटेशन ऑफ वन. देनो ये पवन क्या देखता है और ये गौरव क्या देखता है और ये धीरज क्या देखता है. तो अगर मैं हिंदी, पंजाबी या मलयाली में बोलूं, उनके 10, 11, 12 भाषाएं हैं Z5 पे. मैं एक ही नाम नहीं ले रहा हूँ, सभी पे है ये. तो इट्स क्रेजी. सो दैट्स रियली द वे ऑफ द फ्यूचर. या गौरव,
No,
एनी थॉट्स?
no, I mean, yes, it's as a voice artist, and I'm sure again this is the India Voice
Sure,
Fest.
sure.
You never know. 5 years down the line, there will be bots who will be doing a session on voice. So that could be a possibility. It's scary
Hmm.
for everyone who's watching. But again, I do feel that all worlds have survived, and I think so will this. Many years ago, when you would even now actually, when you call one of those helpline numbers, you have a recorded voice. It's not a bot.
Hmm.
It's a
Hmm.
recorded voice that answers, and they've obviously put that voiceover artist through
Hmm.
millions of pages, and and then they can cut and paste and all of that. Now that's being replaced by bots.
Algorithms, yeah.
Yeah, but but like I said, that there will be newer ways where voices will come handy. So yes, I
बिल्कुल.
think it's a bit of mix and match. I think what the emotions, what a human voice can't do. It's like the Google car. Is that a reality? It is a reality. But will that mean that real cars, drivers
Conventional
or
cars.
human cars will go off? They won't, right? I mean, that's not going to happen.
Sure,
So
sure,
yes, you
sure.
will have more and more bots coming into it, but will they be able to personalize? Dheeraj just said that we're going to make our early mistakes, but is that going to be reality? Do we need to accept that? I think we do. I think it's there. So yeah,
It's
I mean,
there.
like for example, you said, and Siri itself, the changes that my wife has an iPhone, and the minute you say hello Siri, he actually replies, uh-huh. And the first time I heard
She,
that, I was like, yeah, she chose a guy, of course. I mean, she doesn't want
oh,
to talk to another woman,
of course.
I think so.
I
She
like
kind of
the of
she doesn't
course.
want to talk to me, so she's kind of chosen. So when she says, okay, Siri, suddenly there's a guy's voice who comes, uh-huh. And I was like, it sounded very real. So obviously, technology is going to make things even better. It's going to get better. There'll be
Absolutely.
some industries where it'll only be voice bots. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a juggernaut, this
Yeah.
technical change. अच्छा, अब
I,
देखिए
I sorry,
आवाज.
sorry. I just want to on a lighter note. I just want to add what Gaurav has said for the chatbot. Gaurav, आप एक काम कर सकते हैं अपनी वॉइस सैंपल करके रॉयल्टी लेके गो फॉर वेकेशन बहामास राइट उन लोगों को एल्गोरिथम जितना वो एल्गोरिथम से आपका बनाएंगे आपको आपको खाली बिल जनरेट हो जाएगा ऑटोमेटेड
हम्म.
जस्ट लाइक दिस म्यूजिकल लेबल्स गेट देयर रॉयल्टी यू विल गेट
बिल्कुल.
कि मेरा
हम्म.
इतने आवर्स का मेरा वॉइस यूज हुआ है अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड एंड
हम्म.
दैट्स गोइंग टू द रियलिटी फॉर एग्जांपल इफ दर्पण सैंपल्स हिज वॉइस and
हम्म.
gives a copyright outside the country where Hindi and English Indian accent voice is getting used, and his voice is topping the chart in terms of the utilization of the voice because of the
Popularity.
quality of the voice and all that, he can bill it and can take his another
Absolutely,
vacation at a
absolutely.
exotic
बहुत
location.
बढ़िया
Hmm.
है। तो अब बस जैसे ही ये सेशन खत्म होता है, आई एम कॉलिंग धीरज अप इमीडिएटली। या
And when you go to the Bahamas, don't be surprised if this new damn way of spamming you, instead of a person calling and saying, "Sir, मैं यहाँ से फोन कर रहा हूँ," एक automated voice शुरू हो जाती है. अब आप किसको कितना डांटोगे, आप डिस्कनेक्ट ही करोगे.
आई थिंक सडनली सब लोग अपनी वॉइस एंड अदर थिंग्स एंड नाउ यू हैव सो मेनी things that are happening that I think
Hmm.
Dheeraj, Pavan and Sharma ji will be doing the next session from the Bahamas. Yeah, inshallah.
गॉड. अच्छा, अब देखिए आवाज किस तरह से रेडियो और डिजिटल मीडियम्स में यूज होती आ रही है. रेडियो पे तो होती आ रही थी, और माय ग्रेट गुरु एंड माय गॉड अमीन सैनी साहब. सो द वे यूज्ड टू टॉक एंड वाज ऑलवेज कॉन्वर्सेशनल. मैं यार इनकी बातें सुनूं, गाना तो आ जाएगा. तो वो चीज जो है धीरे धीरे पॉडकास्ट से वापस आ रही है, और आवाज में भी लोग, कॉन्वर्सेशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट, इट्स द कनेक्ट विच इज इंपॉर्टेंट, विच कम्स फ्रॉम रेलेवेंस, and which comes from not pushing stuff down your throat and giving it in a very native marketing kind of a way, embedded beneath the radar. But then वो तो एक तरीका हुआ मार्केटिंग का. लेकिन आवाज की जो यूज हो रही है आजकल, इस्तेमाल हो रही है, जिस तरह से रेडियो में और डिजिटल मीडियम पर, how is the use of voice in the radio and digital medium evolving with respect to voice acting talents, and how can they adapt and adopt to it, जो आज आ रहे हैं नए और यंग वॉइस पीपल. गौरव, आप शुरुआत करेंगे इसकी, इस जवाब की.
Yeah, I think what the change is that voices are becoming very real. Yeah, I remember many years ago. I mean, of course, Amin Sani Saab. I mean, he's a legend, and I don't think there's anyone who's able to express and put forth a thought like he does. But if you move that aside, there was a phase where if you wanted to be on radio or if you wanted to be an announcer or even on television, if you wanted to be a voiceover artist, it was all about the voice. What bass kitni hai, clarity kitni hai, all of that. I think now that myth is out of the window. It's all about how real your voice is, how approachable you are. And like I keep saying, that how they are able to turn their feelings into moments which then the consumer again absorbs as a feeling. अगर मैं ये तीन, a feeling turning into a moment, turning into a feeling, if and that is, I think, where the importance is. So all the voices today, and I know that any voice test that happens, I don't think anyone says, "यार इसकी आवाज कैसी है." It's about how real his voice is. Is he able to empathize? Is he able to connect? Is it relevant? These are the words that are coming up. And that's exactly what's happening. So I think that's the change. I mean, very a primal example, a very basic example, but it's not just about voice
Hmm.
quality. It's
Hmm.
about the
Hmm.
reality.
Definitely. Dheeraj, any thoughts on that?
I think I second what Gaurav is saying, and I very jokingly, because I was on brand solution side and always inclined towards advertising and all that. तो मैं प्रोग्रामिंग वालों को बोलता था, यार ये हर सुबह आरजे उठ के बोलता है कि गुड मॉर्निंग एक्साइटिंग। मैंने कहा हर किसी की मॉर्निंग कैसे एक्साइटिंग हो सकती है यार? अभी वो आदमी ये नहीं बोल सकता कि यार मेरे को लग रहा है आपकी कुछ तकलीफ हुई, आज दूध उबल के गिर गया या कुछ हो गया, या यार ये ठीक है मैंने तो एक्साइटमेंट में बोला है, कुछ तो तकलीफ भी हो सकती है तो माफ करना, सबकी एक्साइटमेंट नहीं हो सकती। व्हाट ही इज सेइंग इज सो रियल, वर्ल्ड इज बिकमिंग सो रियल। आई गिव यू
जी।
एग्जांपल, व्हेन वी गॉट Nilesh Mishra ji on radio for 3 months 4 months we didn't get any rating, because लोगों को वो आवाज सुनने का इतनी आदत हो गई थी ना कि हाँ मैं हूँ कहाँ, आइए ये वो, राइट। एंड एक ठहराव वाली वॉइस, वो एक स्टोरी बता रहा है, एंड आफ्टर दैट व्हेन ही पिक्ड इट अप, एवरीबॉडी aped him, like, and when we got
Crazy.
Anu Kapoor ji to tell stories of Bollywood. Anu Kapoor ji is not
Oh.
a great voiceover artist. He doesn't speak the way artists speak, but the amount of the ocean of knowledge that he has, the ocean of stories about the industry, and the way he
Hmm.
tells his stories कि आइए आपको मैं नेक्स्ट में बताता हूँ कि अमिताभ बच्चन साहब को किसने थप्पड़ मारा था, राइट।
Hmm.
नेक्स्ट में बताएंगे कि भाई बंदर ने थप्पड़ मारा था बिकॉज वो लोनावाला जा रहे थे, वो एप्पल उसको दिया, तो यू but the way he says, he's a great storyteller. So what Rahul is,
Hmm.
what Gaurav is saying is that कहाँ आपको रियल होना है, कहाँ आपको एक स्टोरी टेलर बनना है, राइट, कहाँ आपको किसी के दिल को छूना है, राइट। वो सबके लिए कुछ ना कुछ है, लेकिन अभी
Hmm.
because the world is becoming so, people are talking about mental health. Can you talk about mental health with a very artificial tone of voice? No, you cannot.
Obviously not.
I'm part of the committee of mental health in our organization, the support circle and all that. When people, why we are, certain people are selected for it, because they feel that we are friendly, we talk uh, with them the way we want to talk to them, and of course there are other factors also to that. But
Hmm.
but if somebody needs to talk about mental health, you cannot talk about it, हमेशा खुश रहो यार, ये क्या करो. No, you don't know. You have to spend time, maybe you have to tell that of course you will go through it. No amount of cheering up, no amount of going out, no amount of listening to music can cure it. You have to go through it. But hey buddy, if it's troubling you, I'm there for you, right? So
Yeah.
yes, that what Gaurav is saying is bang on. It's what voices need to be real. They need to be the way their audiences are, right?
They have to be genuine conversationalists speaking from the heart. आपसे गुफ्तगू हो रही है, आपसे दिल की बात कर रहा हूँ, और कोई ज़्यादा इमोशनल नहीं, ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं. It has to be natural, it has to be normal. मतलब
Yeah,
अब अनु कपूर जी की आपने जो बात कही कि ठीक है, he may not have the greatest of voices, पर जिस तरह से वो बात करते थे आराम से, और मैं आपको बताऊँ ऐसा हुआ, you would hang on. But one of the other narrators on one of the radio stations who would tell stories, he always had a रोती हुई आवाज, और फिर उसने ये कहा, और ये हुआ, फिर मैं बताऊंगा. अरे यार, क्यों मर रहे हो, क्यों नाटक कर रहे हो, तुम एक्टर नहीं हो, तुम नरेटर हो, यू नो. एनीवेज, व्हिच ब्रिंग्स अस टू माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन.
No,
गौरव,
and
फिर से
sorry,
आपसे शुरुआत
Pavan,
करूंगा.
sorry, Pavan. I just want to, and even statistically, and I'm not someone into numbers, but if you really look at, I mean, even if you let's just look at, Bombay or any city as a statistic, you will realize that there will be, say, one morning show presenter or max two
Hmm.
who kind of get that cult status. But
Hmm.
otherwise, all the other presenters are not the morning show presenters. They're the night presenters. They're the mid
Hmm.
morning presenters. They're the
Hmm.
afternoon presenters. Because exactly what Dheeraj said, exactly what you said. They bring in that connect. वो क्या हो
Correct.
गया है कि
Very
एक
true.
misnomer है कि the morning guy comes in with that good morning whatever. Now the thing is, the guys who've done well even in that day part are the ones who are real.
Real. Absolutely.
वो
Absolutely.
जो
चाहे
वो जो
चाहे
calls को जो लाते हैं, they are good voices, but they didn't break it. They didn't get to
हम्म,
the other side.
करेक्ट, एब्सोल्युटली। तो चाहे वो अपने आप को थर्ड पर्सन में रिफर करें, लेकिन फिर भी कनेक्ट बहुत अच्छा है उसका, एक बंदे का। आई लाइक हिम। एनीवेज, सो सिंस वी टॉकिंग अबाउट वॉइस एंड द रियलिज्म और रियलनेस ऑफ वॉइसेस, ऑडियो ड्रामा और ऑडियो सीरीज की बात करते हैं, Gaurav, and I think there is nobody in India who's done bigger and better ones and has been amongst the first to do it. I'm not talking about the greats like Hawa Mahal and Mauji Ramji ke Sapne and Chutney and Falana and Tamakna. They were different people. But when you look at FM radio, what you did, especially for Fever, with all the shows, with all the radio dramas, etc., जो आजकल कुछ अदर चैनल्स NTR नॉन ट्रेडिशनल रेवेन्यू लेकर के चल रहे हैं और बड़ी बड़ी बातें कर रहे हैं, लेकिन मुझे डर लगता है ये NTR कुछ चलने वाला नहीं है रेडियो पे, क्योंकि स्ट्रीमिंग इतना आ गया है और यूट्यूब वगैरह कितना चल रहा है। लेकिन चले तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, बिकॉज इट इज गुड फॉर द वॉइस इंडस्ट्री। बट टेल मी गौरव, ऑडियो ड्रामा एंड ऑडियो सीरीज, एंड पॉडकास्ट, छोड़ दिए पॉडकास्ट को भी, ऑडियो ड्रामास एंड ऑडियो सीरीज की बात करते हैं। हाउ आर दीज कंटेंट पीसेस ऑप्टिमाइज्ड फॉर मार्केटिंग एंड ब्रांडिंग? दो चीजें, सबसे पहले तो क्रिएटिव कंटेंट बहुत अच्छा होना चाहिए, तो क्रिएशन के वक्त क्या ध्यान रखना चाहिए, किस तरह से उसको बनाना चाहिए, आप थोड़ा सा वो बताएं। And then also on how you promote it, and then we can even speak to Dheeraj about the deeper dive on marketing, please.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, whenever one is making content, and I do feel that that's really, I think the word of, uh, it's the word of the year or it's the word of next year is relevant. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think we need to keep asking ourselves whenever we do anything, how relevant are we? Not because we are copying someone or not because we want to do something, but how relevant is what you're doing. And therefore, I think every content, I mean, I'm going back to even 2002 3 4 जब हमने बब्बर शेर शुरू किया या लव गुरु शुरू किया, which was a shorter form of content, or then Dar and Apradhikon, and then with Fever, we did Ramayana and Mahabharat, and also
Yes.
horror there and crime and Kya Wo Sach Tha. I think the idea was again to differentiate. The idea was to give it was a from a brand perspective, all the radio stations were kind of all the CHR radio stations were kind of in a clutter. There was very less brand differentiation. So how do you create a brand differentiation? One is, of course, by the radio jockeys. Music is not really, it's more like a commodity, even though you can use it, but in a format radio station, right? But if you're not a format radio station, then it becomes a commodity because I can play the same music as someone else and someone else can play the same music as someone else. And then we said, do people want to listen to, again, non-music content? And we realized that yes, they're looking for that differentiation. And therefore we said, okay, can we come up with radio dramas? The thinking of radio dramas is, okay, if we are the first ones doing it, what do we need? We said कि यार हर एक रेडियो ड्रामा में एक distinguished voice होनी चाहिए, and a distinguished voice happens when the person is well known. तो अगर हमने नसीर साहब को यूज किया रामायण में, then of course automatically when Nasir Saab speaks, it's Nasir Saab. So that gets their attention. Theater of mind, जो रेडियो को बोलते हैं, that comes in very distinctively because there is a celebrated voice. और अगर हमने महाभारत में शत्रुघ्न सिन्हा साहब को यूज किया, so then again the voice is very distinct. The second was, of course, therefore the timing becomes important. Just because it's Ramayana, just because it's Mahabharata, and we're spending tons of money to in the production, can we play it at 9 a.m. in the morning? No, we can't, because people don't want to. 9 o'clock, the person is going to work. 9 o'clock, the dabba is being prepared. 9 o'clock. So therefore, we have to look at what is the best time for that audience to consume that content. And also we realize कि यार they are not used to it. वो podcast तब शुरू नहीं हुए थे. They are not used to longer form. They don't like advertising. So they're giving them 10 minutes of talk, and not much music. So we realized that the best and optimum time would be around 10 minutes. 10 minutes tak they're okay. They're okay to kind of accept it. Uske baad again they also start getting a little antsy.
थक
So I
जाते
think
हैं.
these were some of the parameters, and of course we then delved in so many genres, like I said, from from horror to thriller to mythological to even converting television soaps into into radio shows. So yeah, and humor, of course. Again, long format humor, short format humor. So I think it's very interesting because it gave something different and helped differentiate one brand from the other. So it's I think branding is also a part of that exercise.
Absolutely. Dheeraj, you want to add to that, or you want to tell us a little more about, how these content pieces of audio dramas and audio series are sort of optimized for, and how you use them for marketing and branding? What are the opportunities there?
जो गौरव ने बोला, I mean, he is the master. He has created one of some of the iconic ones in the radio industry, and people used to listen to it right from the competition side
Absolutely.
also, right? From the point of view of experiencing it, the world has completely changed. So I tell you, I was reading this very interesting book called The Life is Miscellaneous. पहले लाइब्रेरी में लोग जाते थे, सेक्शन देखते थे साइंस का, उसमें से फिर जाके बायोलॉजी की बुक देखते थे, उसमें से ऑथर देखते थे, पूरे कैटलॉग के थ्रू जाना पड़ता। आज मेरे को बुक चाहिए तो मैं टाइप करता हूँ, अमेज़न पे बुक सामने आ जाती है, राइट? आज मेरे को अगर कोई ऑडियो ड्रामा सुनना है या मेरे को कुछ एक्सपीरियंस करना है, राइट? सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो मेरे को तो एक्सपीरियंस कैसे करना है, आई नो कि अगर मेरे को वो हेडफोन्स पे मजा ही नहीं आएगा, या वो फोन पे मजा ही नहीं आएगा, तो आई विल लुक फॉर अ फर्स्ट आई लुक फॉर द एक्सपीरियंस जोन. सो is that
Hmm.
Alexa, is that a big speaker, what is that zone for me, right? And
Hmm.
can I experience the same Ramayana
Hmm.
on a bigger speaker? तो
Hmm.
वो मेरे लिए वो एक्सपीरियंस जोन होना बहुत जरूरी है. अब मैं आज के कंज्यूमर की
बिल्कुल.
बात कर रहा हूँ, मैं लीनियर मीडियम की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ कि भैया वो मेरी
जी.
एक पर्सनल रिलेशनशिप है, क्योंकि वो जमाना ही चला गया, राइट?
Hmm.
लीनियर सुनने का जमाना ही चला गया. माय किड्स टुडे आर एक्चुअली, they talk something else only, or some game is happening, some live event is happening, some वो उनको बर्थडे पे कपड़े भी नहीं चाहिए, या हमको वो रोबॉक्स ही चाहिए उनको, some digital currency they want, and they want to use it to buy clothes from Nike Land and showcase on the gaming, so I'm talking about the audience which is quite evolved,
Hmm.
right? And what kind of value that they're bringing in my entertainment. I'm not going to hook to something to today the audience is very restless. So आपको जैसे गौरव ने बहुत ही अच्छी बात बोली कि यार कि मतलब you need that one voice that will get hooked to it, जिसके
Hmm.
लिए आप सुनने के लिए आप वापस आएंगे, या you
Hmm.
need that experience of production. Right. For example, I was the first. I remember podcast. I started listening to it. After we won some New York Festival Awards, we used to scan किया और किसको मिल रहा है. तो गौरव आपको पता है कि नहीं, Terry O'Reilly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The Age of Persuasion. I
Yeah.
started listening to it, but the way that guy creates the whole drama, it's not a dry voice. He will take you to the land of advertising, do the deep dive, and come back, and this music, tang, 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 it's you will listen to it irrespective of the duration, और वो कब वो 30 मिनट 40 मिनट या 10 मिनट खत्म हो जाते थे, आपको पता नहीं लगता था, and you used to wait for the next one. I think so the
Exactly my point.
experience, audio experience, now whether it's coming from
Hmm.
voice, whether it's coming from the production value, and or whether it's coming from the purely from the substance of your
Exactly. From the content, which
yeah.
is the sum total of all these things that you just
All
mentioned.
these things, and now how to market is, I think when I was at TVF for some time, I learned a very good thing from Arunab, is that अगर तुम्हारा content अच्छा है ना, तो अब तुम्हारा audience उसको अपना discover कर लेगा, तो उसको
Hmm.
marketing करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Content खराब है तो तुम जो मर्जी बोलते रहो, मैं यहाँ 4 पोस्टर लगा दूं, मैं होर्डिंग लगा दूं. TVF guys are like, it was always a dream for me to work for them, and I did when I became entrepreneur on the brand solution side. I've seen them rejecting great deals just because they put their content first. And imagine startup doing that, right?
Hmm.
So I think if it's a great content, and the way it's served, the purpose will be done.
Wow.
सॉरी,
All right.
मैं
Hi,
ऐसे
Darpan.
सेशन में आ जाता हूँ तो थोड़ा विलन टाइप का लगता हूँ। वो
हाँ,
ऐसा
बिल्कुल
लगता है वो
वही लगा था मुझे।
मास्टर जी आ गए, वो बैंड ले।
बैंत लेके।
Gaurav is showing what is
अच्छा,
happening.
तो मैं
गौरव कीप्स अ गॉन्ग एट हिज ऑफिस, सो आई डोंट नो व्हाट, ये कैसे शौक है।
It's a
अब पता चला।
judgment wala hai. Order, order,
So
order.
नहीं,
Pavan,
अच्छा।
Pavan for you, Pavan for you, since you asked me
Oh
about it.
yeah, yeah. I asked him about this. He's been having this handset for so much time, and it's a USB connected handset, which he uses with his mobile phone. नहीं, अच्छा
ओह
तो मैं समझ
अमेजिंग।
गया। दर्पण आप आए हो ये कहने के लिए कि भैया बहुत हो
नहीं
गया,
नहीं
अब
नहीं,
थोड़ा
बहुत
बतियाना बंद करें।
नहीं।
क्योंकि
बहुत नहीं हुआ,
वक्त है समय की।
अगले मेहमान आ गए हैं।
अगले मेहमान आ
और
गए हैं। अच्छा, तो
बहुत
एक
बिल्कुल
छोटा
नहीं
सा
हुआ।
मैं एक छोटा सा
बल्कि
सवाल करूंगा इन दोनों से,
प्लीज
अगर कुछ ऐड करना चाहें एज
प्लीज।
एज पार्टिंग थॉट्स, और इफ यू थिंक वी स्पोकन इनफ एंड इफ वी जस्ट वांट टू टेक
नो नो, मैं
अ
आप लोग
क्वेश्चन
की
और टू।
कॉन्वर्सेशन को सुन रहा था और इसीलिए मैं 2-3 मिनट से मैं इसी पशोपेश में था, दैट शुड आई इंटरप्ट, क्योंकि
नो नो
आई
नो,
ऑल्सो
देयर आर
रियलाइज दैट
अदर्स।
आप लोग एक बड़े अच्छे टॉपिक पर अभी भी आपने बात करनी शुरू की, व्हेन यू स्टार्टेड ऑन ऑडियो ड्रामा एंड ऑल दैट ऑडियो सीरीज। तो फिर मुझे लगा दिस इज गोइंग ब्यूटिफुली वेल, बट यही यही
नहीं
दिक्कत
नहीं,
होती है
इसमें
कि वी हैव थिंग्स लाइंड अप, और अदरवाइज ऐसे टाइम पर लगता है कि यार ये टाइम की सीमा नहीं होनी चाहिए इतनी ज्यादा।
कोई
नहीं पर
नहीं।
गौरव ने
बिकॉज
आइडिया दे दिया ना अभी कि
मुझे
अब
पता है कि
व्हाट
आज मिले हो आप लोग, पता नहीं अब फिर कितने साल तक पकड़ में नहीं आओगे, ये
बहामास
भी मुझे
नहीं
पता
बहामास
नहीं।
में मिल रहे हैं हम चारों, बहामास में मिल रहे हैं। ये प्लान है, जो भी यहाँ पे हैं सबको बता
ये
दें।
थैंक्स टू धीरज इज आइडिया, वी विल डू दैट। अच्छा, सो दर्पण अगर कोई सवाल आए हों तो मैं इनको, अच्छा है,
है। आई थिंक एक सवाल जो
हाउ
मुझे
टू
दिख रहा
मोनेटाइज अ पॉडकास्ट फॉर
है।
इंस्टेंस, एक ये था। और ये सवाल आया था, hello sir, myself Mahesh. Hi Mahesh, how to monetize a podcast? I'll just share a couple of thoughts from my side. देखिए, ऐसी वेबसाइट सबसे पहले तो आप अपने पॉडकास्ट को इस तरह का बनाएं कि इट हैज़ टू सर्व सम पर्पस, समथिंग इंटरेस्टिंग, इट शुड फुलफिल सम नीड, इट शुड हैव अ यूएसपी परहैप्स ऑन द कंटेंट और द फॉर्मेट। हम अज्यूम करते हैं कि आपने वो सब उस चीज़ का ध्यान रखा है, आपकी प्रोडक्शन वैल्यूज अच्छी हैं, आपका नॉइजी नहीं है ऑडियो, और सुनने में अच्छा लगता है, मोनोलॉगिश नहीं है अनलेस वो कोई कविता हो या कुछ हो, मतलब इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द फॉर्मेट, बट क्वालिटी हैज़ टू बी गुड। व्हेन यू लुक एट ways of monetizing it, well, you can see which genre it is with. You can go to some agencies that actually do digital marketing, present your thought to them, give them a sample, write to them about it, make a small deck about it, reach out। और ग्लोबली बहुत सारी एजेंसीज हैं जो कि आपको बाकायदा रीच करती रहेंगी और कहेंगे कि हमारे पास स्पॉन्सर्स हैं, हमारे पास एडवर्टाइजर्स हैं, आपका पॉडकास्ट कैसा है। अब देखिए, स्पॉन्सर और एडवर्टाइजर और मोनेटाइजेशन के लिए ज़रूरी है कि आप कुछ प्रूफ ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट दें, क्या रेटिंग्स हैं, किस तरह से डाउनलोड्स हुए हैं, कितना हुआ है, क्या है। सो इट ऑल डिपेंड्स ऑन both these things coming true. Offline, if you write to me, I can share some links to websites like these which will really help you. तो यहाँ पर तो मैं ये बेसिक ही बात बोल सकता हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे पता नहीं आपका पॉडकास्ट कौन सा है, कैसा है, क्या करता है, लेकिन जिस भी जॉनर में है। अब देखिए, यहाँ धीरज बैठे हैं, धीरज जी ये आपको बोल सकते हैं, बिकॉज ही इज समबडी हु इज इनटू द होल बिजनेस ऑफ connecting great content and taking it and using it to create engagements that will empower businesses. So he might be able to tell you how to look at it, but I will definitely reach out to me through Darpan and I'll give you some information more.
लुक सो पवन, आई एम सॉरी, सो मुझे एक ख्याल आपने जो बोला, जस्ट टू ऐड टू दैट, आई थिंक एज वॉइस आर्टिस्ट वी आर वेरी यूज्ड टू अप्रोचिंग एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम द टैलेंट पर्सपेक्टिव, कि हम तो टैलेंट हैं,
Hmm.
हमें आप बुला लो, हम जो आप कहोगे काम कर लेंगे। सो आई थिंक व्हेन इट कम्स टू पॉडकास्ट, you will need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. You will have to start looking yourself as your podcast as your ownership वाला content piece, और फिर
Hmm.
किसी भी business owner की तरह you will have to invest, whether it is your time, resources, energy, effort. There will have to be a break even period, like आप कोई, even if you start a shop, there is a gestation period, एक वक्त लगता है for things to materialize. तो
Hmm.
आई थिंक सबसे पहली जो चीज है, मैं क्योंकि खुद एक वॉइस आर्टिस्ट हूँ और एक एंटरप्रेन्योर भी हूँ, मुझे लगता है एक एटीट्यूडिनल शिफ्ट आनी चाहिए, क्योंकि मैं कई लोगों को जानता हूँ, दोस्तों को भी, जो कहते हैं यार पॉडकास्ट में तो कुछ पैसा तो है नहीं, क्योंकि इट्स अ लॉन्ग टेल गेम, और ओनली इफ यू आर रेडी टू अप्रोच इट दैट वे. मुझे याद है धीरज से भी मेरी जब शुरुआत में बात हुई थी इस सेशन को लेकर, तब हमने भी इस बारे में बात की थी कि when you go to these agencies जो who help you, तो कहीं ना कहीं they will not look at you as a voice artist
Not at
who
all.
who,
They will
who
look at
anybody
your
can
product.
commission. They will look at you as somebody who owns this product, this brand, and whose entire
Absolutely.
approach is a little long term. तो आई थिंक मुझे हमेशा लगता है कि जब हम 10 चीजें करते हैं विच गिव अस immediate gratification as talent when we are commissioned work by producers, तो अगर एक ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी आई है जहां पर we can invest our,
Hmm.
our creative mind as well, and
Hmm.
maybe learn some skills. So it's a great opportunity, and coming from all of you, I think people should take it seriously.
Yeah. There was one more question here. If anybody else doesn't have anything to contribute to that one, I'll just say, in the interest of time, I'm just running with this. What are the best platforms to post a podcast on? So, first is, I'll very quickly give you my two bits. For God's sake, don't go to free platforms at all. They will charge you the others, but they will allow you to own your data. You know, कब कितना किसने डाउनलोड किया, कहाँ सुना, क्या स्पॉटिफाई सबसे बड़ा सोर्स था, क्या मोबाइल सबसे अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म था, मोबाइल में iOS कितना था और एंड्रॉयड कितना था,
Android.
और iOS और एंड्रॉयड के मिक्स से ही आपको प्रोफाइल का पता चलना शुरू हो जाता है. थोड़ा सा इंडिकेटिव यू गेट, जियोग्राफिकल यू गेट, एज वाइज यू गेट, एवरी काइंड ऑफ डाइसिंग एंड स्लाइसिंग ऑफ द डेटा. सो दैट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. एट द सेम टाइम एक चीज और भी है. आप अच्छे प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे जाएं. I can just name three off the top of my head, and they are really good ones. One is Buzzsprout. It's an amazing platform. The least you have to pay is free for 2 months. You can put up your podcast, and after that, it'll submit it also to main important directories like Apple and Spotify. मैं ये भी बता दूं, Apple, Spotify और Google अगर तीन जगहों पे आप आ गए तो you are reaching a potential 95% of globally people interested in or listening to podcasts in India and abroad. The others are all chiller. Okay, whatever the streaming platforms in India, whatever the others, I'm not naming anybody, not bad naming them, but I'm just saying that if you are on these three, you're fine. इसके लिए अच्छे प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाएं. Buzzsprout हो, Libsyn हो, या Captivate हो. Okay, they allow you, they charge you. It can range anything between $5 to $9 a month to as much as 40. There are some that allow you to not only host but also edit your podcast in a manner कि जैसे ही आपने ऑडियो अपलोड किया आपको पूरा ट्रांसक्रिप्ट मिल जाएगा, और उस ट्रांसक्रिप्ट को आप कट करेंगे तो ऑडियो कट होता जाएगा. It is as simple as that. It is amazing. So
Amazing.
try all these things, and privately I can send you offline more information on this. But always go with a
Absolutely.
hosted.
I think Pavan, Dheeraj and Gaurav, I'm sure you will agree कि इस तरह के जो जितना हमने जो टॉपिक चूज किया, it's the spectrum of the topic that we chose. पॉसिबल नहीं है कि आधा एक घंटे में सब चीजें कवर हो जाए, या आपके जो तजुर्बे का जो निचोड़ है वो एक घंटे में तो किसी को मिल नहीं सकता है. मुझे लगता है कि इस तरह के जो कॉन्फ्रेंसेस होते हैं या इवेंट्स होते हैं, आई थिंक एज एन अटेंडी मेरे लिए सबसे बड़ी प्रिविलेज ये है दैट आई गॉट टू नो यू. So I got to know. So if I'm someone who probably was living under the rock, or someone who's not from the industry, then I got to know. Oh, I got to know these three senior people from three different segments of the industry. So अब मुझ पर है कि मैं कितना resourceful हूँ. If I was that guy, I would start following you right now. I would look up LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I would Google up what kind of work Dheeraj has done, Gaurav has done, or Pavan has done. And the best way to profit from these guys is to look up what they've done, is to look into their experience. क्योंकि यहाँ पर आपको you can only get half an hour or 1 hour of their time. You can't possibly get more time. So on a parting note, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but मुझे लगता है कि everyone should, जितने भी panelists आ रहे हैं सब दिग्गज हैं, all of them are stalwarts in their own rights. Please look them up, follow them, send them requests, and leave it to them whether they want to engage with you. That right remains with them. क्योंकि कई बार होता है लोग फिर बुरा मान जाते हैं, तो ये भी मैं आपसे कहना चाहूंगा कि they are all busy senior people, so reach out to them. And if उनको अगर कुछ समझ में आया, they might, you never know, one connection might just change your life. It has happened with me, it can happen with you. सो इस तरह के जो इवेंट्स होते हैं, वो उनका एक बहुत बड़ा पर्पस ये होता है कि you might just get that one connect. So I hope everyone who's watching, and I have to add one little thing, that it's a privilege that Harish Bhimani ji is with us in the audience, because he
Wow.
also, when you guys were discussing, he put in his comments as well. So
He's
Harish bhai,
amazing. I
Harish
love
ji,
him. I love him. I love him.
welcome.
I was with him on day one on Times FM. He
Yes,
did a
and
wonderful show in 15th August 1993 on Lata Mangeshkar ji, and I did one on Michael Jackson. बताइए दो अलग.
yes, and इंडिया
Very
वॉइस
good.
फेस्ट का नसीब देखिए कि
He's
हमारे
amazing.
लिए
I love him.
हरीश जी का जो कीनोट एड्रेस होता है
हाँ,
every year. India Voice Fest
क्या
starts
बात.
with a keynote address by Shri Harish Bhimani ji, including yesterday. बल्कि कल तो उन्होंने क्या किया, वो अपने स्टूडियो में थे कल, उन्होंने और शुभ शुरुआत करने के लिए लाइव ऑन एयर ही डिड एन आरती. उन्होंने अपने
Wow.
हाथ से दिया
Wow.
जलाया और
Wow.
श्लोक बोला. तो आई थिंक जब
क्या
ऐसा
बात है.
प्यार, ऐसा स्नेह, ऐसा आशीर्वाद
This
मुझ पर
is
है, हम पर है,
it's a
सो कुछ
blessing
तो
from
सही
the
किया
universe.
होगा.
It's a blessing from the universe. और मैं छोटी सी एक बात कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि जितने भी लोग सुन रहे हैं, अगर किसी को कोई मैं अपने छोटे से पैमाने पे कुछ भी मदद कर सकूं तो पवन pavan@mediabrief.com प्लीज राइट टू मी. ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई बहुत बिजी रहते हैं, एक दूसरे के लिए वक्त निकालना ही है
बिल्कुल,
सबका. आई
बिल्कुल.
थिंक आई हैव लर्नड अ लॉट फ्रॉम लॉट ऑफ पीपल एंड इफ आई कैन गिव बैक टू एनीवन आई वुड
हाउ
बी
लवली,
प्रिविलेज्ड. सो प्लीज
हाउ
जस्ट
लवली,
डू नॉट
हाउ
थिंक
लवली.
ट्वाइस. रीच आउट.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Dheeraj and Gaurav, I can't thank you enough for being so gracious with your time and so generous with sharing all that you've learned, or rather, a part of it in the limited time that we had. And, आप मेरे एक phone call पर, मेरे एक message पर, uh, आप लोग आए हैं. And, I don't take that for granted. The liberty that I take with you, uh, वो मेरी कमाई है. और उसकी वजह से आज everyone is profiting from that. So thank you so much. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Dr.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
and bye bye.
Thank
Bye
you,
Bye
bye.
dear
bye.